Level 1. The recruit. You're 19. You didn't stumble into this. You applied 3 times. The first 2, you failed the fitness test. Third time, you passed? Barely. A letter arrives from the Los Angeles Police Department. Report to the academy. Monday, 0500 hours. No negotiation. No delay. The academy is a converted warehouse on the eastern edge of the city. 40 recruits. 2 weeks in, 8 are gone. Not fired, they quit. You understand why. The days begin in the dark and end in the dark. 6 miles before breakfast. Push-ups until your arms forget what straight feels like. Then classroom hours. Law. Procedure. Use of force doctrine. Your instructor, Sergeant Garza, has a habit of standing directly behind you when you least expect it. He never shouts. That's the part that unsettles you. He just waits, silent, until your hands stop trembling. One morning, a recruit named Whitfield talks back during a drill. Nothing dramatic, just 3 words. That's not fair. Garza doesn't blink. He says, drop. Whitfield drops. The rest of you drop with him. Whitfield is gone by Friday. You say nothing for the next 6 weeks. You learn what the silence costs you. You learn what it saves. By graduation, there are 23 of you left. You're handed a badge. It's heavier than you expected. Level 2, the patrol officer. You're 21, 2 years of patrol. This is mandatory before SWAT will even look at you. Your beat is East Compton. Night shifts mostly. You ride with a veteran named Delacroix, who has 15 years on the job and a habit of eating cold tamales at 3 a.m. He never rushes. You ask him once why he moves so slow when a call comes in. Because the ones who sprint toward every call, he says, burn out or get hurt. You pace yourself or the job eats you. You respond to a domestic in an apartment complex off Wilmington Avenue, 3rd floor. You knock. The door opened 6 inches, chain still on. A woman stares at you through the gap. Her eye is swollen, shut. She tells you everything is fine. You write the report exactly as it happened. You document the injury. You document her words. The report goes nowhere. You write another one 2 months later. Same address. You learn that the law and justice are 2 separate roads that sometimes cross and sometimes don't. At the end of year 2, you submit your SWAT application. Delacroix signs your recommendation letter without being asked. You'll be good at it, he tells you. You don't panic. That matters more than anything else. Level 3, the SWAT candidate. You're 23. SWAT selection is 5 days. They call it assessment week. You call it something else by day 3. It begins with a timed obstacle course at 04:30 before sunrise. Then a shooting qualification, 80 rounds, moving targets, low light. Then a written psychological evaluation. Then a panel interview with 4 senior operators who ask you questions designed to have no right answer. You breach a room. Your partner goes down. The suspect is still armed. You have 2 seconds. They watch your eyes while you answer. On day 4, they run you through a simulated hostage scenario in a decommissioned school building in Gardena. Your team has to extract a civilian while a role player acts as an armed and erratic suspect. Everything that can go wrong does. The civilian screams. The lighting cuts out. Radio communication drops. Afterward, a senior operator named Holloway debriefs each candidate individually. He tells you you hesitated at the threshold. Why? You tell him the truth. You didn't know if your partner had a clean angle. He writes something down. Doesn't tell you what. Of 62 candidates, 11 are selected. You're one of them. You don't celebrate. Something about the whole week tells you this was the easy part. Level 4. The operator. Probationary. You're 24. 18 months on probation. You're on the team, but you're not of the team. Not yet. SWAT in Los Angeles. LAPD's Metropolitan. Division, D Platoon, operates differently than what most people imagine. There are no movie moments. There is repetition. There is drilling the same entry pattern 400 times until your body does it without your brain's permission. You train in abandoned buildings, parking structures, shipping containers repurposed as room mock-ups. You drill close-quarters combat with Sergeant Reyes, a former Army Ranger who has the patience of a man who has nothing left to prove. Your first live call-out is a barricade situation. A man with a rifle has locked himself inside a motel room in Van Nuys. You're positioned at the east corner of the building. You hold for 4 hours. The negotiator talks him out. You never fire a round. Some of the newer guys are visibly disappointed. You're not. Holloway once told you during selection, a SWAT call-out where nothing happens is a perfect call-out. You're starting to understand what he meant. By month 14, you stop being watched quite so closely. By month 18, your probation ends. Nobody makes a speech. Reyes just nods at you across the briefing room. That's enough. Level 5, the operator, full. You're 26. You are now a full SWAT operator. You've been on 31 call-outs. You've fired your weapon in the field twice. The work is not what television made it. Between call-outs, there are thousands of hours of training. Rope descents from rooftops, explosive breaching certification, hostage rescue scenarios, underwater search quals, night vision operations, medical training, tourniquets, chest seals, needle decompressions. You become fluent in all of it. There is a call-out in Boyle Heights. Active shooter, elementary school. The call comes at 11:14 a.m. You are in the van before the briefing is finished. Your team moves through a side entrance in under 90 seconds. The building is already evacuated. The shooter barricaded himself in a supply closet off the gymnasium. You hold the corridor. The negotiator works. For 40 minutes. The door opens. Hands come out first. Afterward, in the debrief, nobody talks about how they felt. That's not the culture. You talk about angles, communication gaps, stacking order, what worked, what didn't. On the drive back, your partner, Torres, says quietly, "Good day." That's the whole debrief. You understand that the weight of this job doesn't live in the call-outs. It lives in the nights between them, when your mind replays the hallway and counts the seconds differently. Level 6, the sniper. You're 29. You're tapped for sniper school. Not everyone is asked. You don't ask why you were. The school is 8 weeks. It's run out of a facility in the Mojave. The instruction is precise, methodical, and completely humbling. You spend the first 2 weeks learning to do nothing. How to hold a position in the sun without moving, without coughing, without shifting your weight. A sniper's first discipline is stillness. Your spotter is a woman named Kwan, who has 12 years on the team and a surgical calm that makes you feel perpetually behind. She doesn't waste words. In the field, she communicates in half sentences and you learn to complete them. The legal standard for a sniper shot is exact. Imminent threat, no alternative, clear identification of target. You memorize this not as policy, but as weight. Every scenario in training ends with a decision. Sometimes you fire, sometimes you don't. The debrief afterward is always the same. Explain your reasoning, step by step, to a room of people who are paid to find holes in it. Your first field deployment as sniper is a kidnapping case in Encino. You're positioned on a rooftop across from a warehouse for 7 hours. The suspect releases the hostage without a shot being fired. You pack your rifle and climb down the ladder. Kwan says, "Good day." You're starting to recognize what a good day really means. Level 7, the team leader. You're 33. You are now responsible for 6 operators. That changes. Something fundamental. Before, you only had to trust your own training. Now you have to trust theirs, and you have to shape it. You run the morning drills. You review every operator's qualification scores. You study their strengths and, more carefully, their gaps. There's a newer operator named Paxton. Technically sharp, excellent shooter, but in scenario training, he makes decisions fast. Too fast. He moves before he has full information. You pull him aside after a drill. Speed is useful, you tell him. Accuracy is better. The two aren't the same thing. He listens. You watch him slow down, incrementally, over the next 4 months. Your first major call-out as team leader is a bank robbery turned hostage situation in downtown Los Angeles. 3 armed suspects, 11 hostages, a building with 17 entry points. Command gives you 20 minutes to prepare a plan. You use 18 of them. The operation takes 4 minutes to execute. All 11 hostages walk out. 2. Suspects surrender. 1 flees through a service exit and is apprehended 2 blocks away. In the after-action report, you credit your team. Every name, every position, every decision made correctly under pressure. Command asks why you didn't take personal credit for the breach call. You tell them, because I made 2 mistakes in there and they covered for both of them. That's what I want on the report. Level 8, the negotiator. You're 37. They send you to the FBI's Crisis Negotiation Unit, training in Quantico, Virginia. 14 days. You expected tactics. What you find is something closer to philosophy. The lead instructor is a former hostage negotiator named Brandt, who spent 11 years working international kidnappings before coming back stateside. He opens the first session with a question. What does a person in crisis want more than anything? The room answers, to be heard, to be safe, to escape, to survive. Brandt shakes his head at all of them. They want to matter, he says. Everything else is negotiable. You carry that sentence for the rest of your career. Back in the field, your role shifts. You're still operational, but you're also the voice, the one on the phone when the door is closed and the situation has stopped making sense to everyone inside it. A call comes in on a Tuesday in February. A man named Gerald has locked himself in his apartment in Silver Lake with a firearm. His wife left. His job ended. He tells you on the phone that there's no reason to come out. You stay on the line for 3 hours and 40 minutes. You don't promise him things will be fine. You don't threaten. You don't rush. You just ask him questions and listen, really listen, to the pauses between his answers. At 11:52 p.m., the door opens. Gerald sits down on the front step, and he puts his face in his hands, and he cries. You sit beside him on the concrete and say nothing. Some wins don't make the news. Those are usually the ones that cost the most. Level 9, the commander. You're 43. You command the unit now. 41 operators, support staff, a budget, and the weight of every decision made in your name. The job is mostly invisible. You don't breach doors anymore. You approve training budgets. You review after-action reports. You sit in briefings with department brass and city officials who want SWAT available for everything and accountable for anything that goes wrong. A high-profile call-out in Hollywood goes badly. Not catastrophically, but badly. A suspect is shot during a breach. The shooting is legally justified. The operator followed protocol exactly, but footage from a bystander's phone captures 15 seconds of it without context, and it's on the news within the hour. You hold a press conference that afternoon. You are precise, calm, and honest. You do not use the word unfortunate. You do not use the phrase the system worked. You say a man was shot. We owe his family and this community a full accounting of what happened and why. We will provide that. Your supervisor pulls you aside afterward. That was too direct, he tells you. That was accurate, you say. The full review clears the operator completely. The bystander footage, seen in full context, shows a different story than the 15-second clip. The community's trust, once cracked, takes 2 years to partially restore. You learn something in those 2 years that you didn't fully understand before. The hardest thing about this job isn't the call-outs. It's what you owe to the city after them. Every decision you make is now made in the open. Everything is documented. Every memo, every directive, every approval. You stopped thinking of accountability as a constraint a long time ago. Now you think of it as the only thing keeping the unit from becoming something it shouldn't be. Level 10. The end of the line. You're 51. You sit in a folding chair in a gymnasium in Inglewood. It's a retirement ceremony. Yours. There are speeches. There are people in the room who worked alongside you for more than 2 decades, and a few who are younger than your service record. Someone reads from a list of operations, hostage rescues, barricade resolutions, lives protected. The number is specific and large, and somehow still feels incomplete, because the list doesn't include the calls that never made the list. The conversations in the dark, the doors that opened quietly, the moments that ended without incident because someone did their job without needing to be seen doing it. Sergeant Reyes is in the back of the room. He retired 8 years before you. He drives 3 hours to be here. He doesn't say much. He shakes your hand and nods once, and that means more than every speech combined. You drive home alone that night. You think about Whitfield, who quit in week 2. You wonder if he found something better. You think about Gerald in Silver Lake, sitting on his front step in the cold. You never learned what happened to him after that night. You hope the ending was better than where he started. You think about the operator you cleared in the Hollywood shooting, a young woman named Estrada who came into your office 2 days after the incident and asked if she'd done the right thing. You told her she followed her training and her training was correct. That's as close to certainty as this job gets. You think about Delacroix, eating cold tamales at 3 a.m., telling you to pace yourself. You didn't always manage that, but you tried. The house is quiet. You sit in the dark for a while. You spent 32 years learning when to move fast and when to wait. When to speak and when to stay silent. When to act and when to trust that doing nothing was still doing something. Nobody told you when you started that the job would end this quietly. But quiet, you understand now, was always the goal. You never needed the noise to know the work was real.